The news hit fans like a thunderbolt. Loretta Swit, the beloved actress who played Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan on MASH, had passed away. She was 85. For millions who grew up watching her on television, it didn't feel like just the death of a celebrity. It felt like losing a part of history. A woman who defined strength, grace, and intelligence on screen had quietly left the world. But her final days, the funeral, and the impact she left behind told a much deeper story, one that deserves to be remembered. Loretta Swit died peacefully at her home in Los Angeles. She wasn't surrounded by flashing cameras or headlines. She was surrounded by people she loved, friends, family, and a few close members of the industry who had stood by her through the decades. Her funeral was held at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, known for being the resting place of many Hollywood legends. But this one felt different. It wasn't crowded. It wasn't noisy. It was quiet, intimate, respectful. One mourner whispered, "This is exactly how Loretta would have wanted it. Simple, graceful, no fuss." Sweet wasn't just a television actress. She was a household name because of MASH, one of the most watched and loved shows in TV history. From 1972 to 1983, the show gave viewers a powerful mix of laughter and raw emotion. And through it all, Loretta was there, evolving with the role, shaping it, and pushing it beyond what the writers originally intended. Her character, Major Margaret Houlihan, started as a strict military nurse, but over time, she became something much more: intelligent, compassionate, and deeply human. And that change didn't happen on its own. Loretta demanded it. She once said in an interview, "I wasn't going to let her be just a cartoon. Women are more than that." Her co-star, Alan Alda, agreed. She pushed for depth, for realness. Without Loretta, Margaret wouldn't have mattered as much, and neither would MASH. It's hard to overstate how rare that was in the 1970s. An actress not only asking for better writing, but getting it, and earning respect for it. Behind the camera, Loretta Swit was no less powerful. She stood up for equal pay before it became a trending topic. She asked for better roles for women and better treatment of actresses. She wasn't loud about it, but she was firm, and people listened. When she wasn't filming, she poured herself into animal rights activism. Long before it became popular, she was supporting animal shelters, speaking at fundraisers, and even refusing to wear real fur on set. Her love for animals wasn't for the cameras. It was real. Betty White, another passionate animal advocate, once said, "Loretta's heart was as big as her talent. Her off-screen life showed something rare in the industry: consistency. She didn't change with the trends. She didn't chase headlines. She stayed true to herself. People who worked with her spoke of her kindness. Crew members said she remembered everyone's name. Assistants said she brought gifts to birthdays. One lighting technician said, 'She asked about my sick mother every day. Every day. Who does that in Hollywood?' Loretta Swit did. When compared to other actresses from her generation, Loretta's uniqueness stands out. Lucille Ball made the world laugh. Mary Tyler Moore showed us that women could lead. B. Arthur stood for boldness. But Loretta gave us something else: balance. She showed that a woman could be both strong and vulnerable, both a leader and a listener, both commanding and gentle. Her career might not have had the flash of others, but it had meaning. Her influence ran deep in the veins of television and in the way women were written for the screen. Her final wishes were just as modest as her life. She left a note thanking her fans. No drama, just gratitude. "Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. I hope I made you feel something." She asked that no massive tribute be made in her name. Instead, she wanted donations to animal shelters. A simple request, but one that reflected exactly who she was. After the news of her death spread, tributes began to pour in. Alan Alda wrote, "Loretta made MASH more than a show. She made it human." Jamie Farr, who played Klinger, said, "She was my sister on and off the set. I'll miss her forever." Even young actresses today paid their respects. Kaylee Cuoco wrote, "Loretta Swit made it okay for women to be complicated on TV. She walked so we could run." These words weren't empty. They came from people who knew what she stood for. At the funeral, there was no grand speech, just shared memories. A woman brought a faded photo of herself as a child in the hospital. "Loretta came to visit when I was 6. She held my hand, told me I was brave. I never forgot that." Another guest remembered a charity auction. "I was nervous meeting her, but we ended up talking about cats for half an hour. She made me feel like I mattered." Loretta didn't just touch fans. She connected with people. On screen, she represented women who were often ignored. Off screen, she lifted them up. She helped change an industry slowly, not with noise, but with persistence. She chose honesty over performance, grace over attention. That's why her death feels so heavy. Because it's not just about losing an actress. It's about losing a standard. In today's entertainment world, scandals and controversies often drown out true legacy. But Loretta's memory cuts through that noise. Like Fred Rogers or Cicely Tyson, she used her platform not to build herself up, but to quietly build others. And she never asked for credit. That's rare. As the funeral came to a close, a soft piano version of the MASH theme, "Suicide is Painless," played in the background. The crowd stood still. One white rose was laid on the casket. And in that silence, someone whispered, "She did good. She really did." The final goodbye wasn't a media circus. It was a soft ending to a strong life, a tribute that fit the woman it honored. Loretta Swit was never about flash or noise. She was about purpose, about care, about doing things right even when no one was watching. And in that way, her legacy shines brighter than most. In the days following her funeral, fans around the world created small, personal tributes. Some shared old MASH clips on social media. Others posted photos from fan conventions where they had met Loretta and were surprised by her warmth. One fan from Ohio wrote, "She didn't act like a celebrity. She acted like your aunt. She cared." In New York, a local theater group held a free screening of MASH episodes in her memory. One of the young actors said, "We're not just, watching a show. We're learning how to be better humans just like she was." These small acts said more than any award ever could. In Hollywood, where many legacies fade quickly, Loretta's seems to be growing. Writers have pointed out that without her influence, female characters in military or medical shows might still be stuck in one dimension. The strength and softness she brought to Margaret Houlihan made it clear that women could be leaders without losing their empathy. Today's popular shows like Grey's Anatomy and The Good Doctor owe something to that shift. In fact, Ellen Pompeo once said in an interview, "When I first started playing Meredith Grey, I thought of women like Loretta. She made it okay for us to take the lead and still have heart." But it wasn't just television where she made a mark. Loretta Swit used her fame responsibly. She visited war veterans in hospitals, brought attention to nurses who felt invisible, and even helped fund shelters for abused animals. Every action had a purpose. Every move was thoughtful. She didn't just play a woman in uniform, she supported the real ones. That authenticity created a ripple effect. One nurse at her funeral said, "I chose this job because I saw her on TV when I was 12. I didn't want to be famous. I wanted to be helpful, like her." So now, with Loretta gone, the question isn't whether she'll be remembered. She will. The real question is, how will we remember her? Will we only think of her as Hot Lips from MASH? Or will we remember the woman who challenged lazy writing, who fought for animals, who comforted strangers, and who never lost her sense of grace in a world that often rewards arrogance? The answer lies in how we choose to tell her story from here. And maybe, just maybe, in how we choose to live ours. Now we're left with questions. Do we still celebrate women like Loretta Swit? Or are we too distracted by fame to notice grace? Do we honor those who fight quietly, or only those who scream loudly? And what does it say about our values? If someone like Loretta can leave this world so gently while others are remembered for chaos, Loretta Swit may be gone. But the roles she shaped, the lives she touched, and the standards she raised, those remain. She wasn't just a character on television. She was a force in people's lives, a force for kindness, for respect, for change, and now it's our turn to carry that forward. Not by mimicking her, but by living with the same heart, the same honesty, the same quiet power. She gave us more than a performance. She gave us something to believe in.